Well, I think it's atrocious that he's still over there.
Can you explain? There may be
High
some
School.
viewers who don't, who have been reading newspapers lately or just came back from vacation. What's this? What's
Well, basically,
the backup?
he's a football coach at Kalaheo High School, and during a football game, when a black quarterback from McKinley High School entered the game, he told his players, "Get the nigger." And I found that extremely offensive, and I cannot believe that a person like that is able to teach high school. I mean, this is supposed to be someone who's supposed to instill certain morals and values into young minds, and to have his team view a African-American high school student as a nigger, which is basically saying he's not a human being,
To
go get him.
Get him, right.
I thought that was outrageous.
This brings me to another question I have from a viewer. It's for Daphne, and it really, I think, follows right on what you said. This viewer wants to know what's so wrong with what Smith said. Not quite in those terms. What this viewer says is, what was the irreparable damage done to the students by the coach's remarks?
Well, first of all, it casted African Americans in a very negative light. The term nigger comes from slavery, which means you are not a person. You cannot vote. You are nothing but a piece of my property. And if I choose to kill you and rape you, so be it. You just have to take it. And we are not going to take it. We never will take it anymore. And so watch out. Do not ever call a black person a nigger. Do not ever do that. It's, but again, it goes to education and sensitivity. For example, you have Caucasian teachers who teach Indian law, and they sit up there and they talk about the law, and then they say something like Indian givers. And they don't realize what they're saying. And one of my friends who's a Native American lawyer in Seattle told me that all the students had to go and approach him and explain why they took offense to the term Indian giver. It's a matter of sensitizing and educating people. But I think that Coach Smith, he's over 18, he's over 25. He knows what nigger means. And if you don't know what nigger means, you can call me, or you can come to the African American Association meetings or the NAACP meetings and ask people why they take offense at being called nigger. But I think you do.
See, this question goes back to a question that Catherine McKinnon raised regarding pornography in women, and that's the question of harm. Who is harmed by this? Now, if you take the reasonable white man standard, he's not harmed by this. But if you take the black person, the victimized person, the woman, the Hawaiian, yes, they are harmed by it. And what kind of harm is that? Well, only we can tell you. So now you have to listen to us, or, that whole idea of who is doing the talking and who is doing the listening. The reality is that it does harm us. And not only does it harm our image of ourselves, but it harms what we're able to do in life because of the lack of a good image. And the idea, for example, which is very common in Hawaii, that, Hawaiians can't do that. They can't manage their own lands. They can't be in positions of authority. Those ideas come into Hawaiians, into their psyches, and they stay there. And that's what harm is. Harm is not saying, I didn't mean it, Daphne, I'm just joking. Daphne goes home and it's there, it's in her mind. Now, harm is entering the law very slowly in terms of differentials, and not just that, just like the reasonable woman idea or the reasonable African American as the test. Now it's harm. What harm is done here? Not the harm of which American law is filled with, of property damage. Does this damage your property? Does this damage your earnings? Does this damage your sexual ability? Does this damage your psyche? Do we have any evidence about that? Of course. I mean, people for decades have been scholars, have been recording the damage that's done. And doctors are now saying that because of all the oppression and racism that African Americans experience, they have very high blood pressure. And of course we know that's true for Hawaiians. All of those kinds of things are harm. That is what saying that does. That is the harm that they have caused. If he means, he didn't punch him in the face, he didn't punch the student in the face or take his stereo or, I don't know, kick him off the team, that's only the surface of harm. The other kind of harm stays there and it resonates your whole life. And that's why people fight so hard to stop it. Right.